Right now, there's a group of hackers holding a 1 terabyte file that could completely dismantle a billion-dollar marketing machine.
Yeah, it's a massive hostage situation.
Yeah.
And they aren't threatening to shut down servers or, delete user accounts.
Exactly. They are threatening to detonate the entire corporate strategy of the biggest entertainment property on the planet. I mean, we're talking about Rockstar Games and the rollout for Grand Theft Auto 6.
And the clock is ticking.
It really is. So that's our mission for today's deep dive. We're looking at a breakdown from the YouTube channel Awesome Genome, titled New GTA 6 Leak Explained. Trailer 3 soon. Rockstar's 2026 plans revealed.
Right, because if you want the actual cutting-edge facts behind all this chaos, we need to look at what's really in those stolen files.
Yes, exactly. We're going to unpack the technical mechanics of how this breach actually happened and the brutal financial truths about the gaming industry that are buried inside those files. Plus, what this standoff means for the immediate future of GTA 6.
The timeline here is critical. I mean, it really helps you understand the pressure Rockstar is under right now.
Yeah, lay it out for us.
So, according to the source material, on April 11th, a hacking group publicly claimed they had access to Rockstar's cloud environments.
And this wasn't a quiet thing, right?
No, not at all. They didn't just steal the data and, offer a backroom deal. They made a highly public announcement and set a hard deadline.
April 14th.
Exactly. Pay the ransom by April 14th.
Yeah.
Or a full terabyte of the company's most sensitive internal data gets dumped onto the open internet.
A terabyte. I mean, a terabyte of plain text documents, PDFs, spreadsheets. That is just an ocean of corporate intelligence.
Oh, it's everything.
I keep picturing this like a modern heist movie, But instead of blowing up a vault for gold, the thieves basically socially engineered their way into the executive boardroom, grabbed the billion-dollar playbook, and are holding the narrative itself hostage.
That's a really good way to put it.
But here's my question. Rockstar has supposedly been on high alert since their last major leak. They locked down internal comms, reinforced their perimeter. So how does a breach of this magnitude happen again?
Well, we have to look at the architects of the hack. The group claiming responsibility goes by the name Shiny Hunters.
Shiny Hunters, okay.
Yeah, and they are not opportunistic amateurs. They've been operating at the highest levels of cybercrime since 2020.
Wow.
This is a formidable syndicate. They specialize in corporate extortion. I mean, over the last few years, they have successfully breached massive organizations. Microsoft, AT&T, Cisco.
Microsoft and AT&T.
Yeah, tech infrastructure giants.
Okay, so they have a proven track record of taking down absolute monoliths. But even knowing that, a direct assault on Rockstar's main servers just seems impossible.
It is. The source breakdown pointed out something highly specific about the methodology here. Shiny Hunters didn't actually hit Rockstar directly.
Wait, really?
No. Direct assaults on enterprise-level mainframes are incredibly rare. Those systems are built to trigger alarms the second a brute force attack begins.
Right, of course.
So instead, Shiny Hunters found an invisible backdoor. They exploited a vulnerability in a third-party software vendor called Anodot.
Okay, Anodot. I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of this because, this whole concept of third-party vulnerability comes up constantly in modern data breaches.
It really does.
Anodot is a cloud monitoring and analytics tool, right? It helps companies track data flow and optimize performance.
Correct. When you have a massive cloud infrastructure, handling millions of player logins, server pings, internal developer commits, you need automated software to monitor all that traffic in real time.
To make sure everything is running smoothly.
Exactly. You need to know if a server in Frankfurt is suddenly dropping packets, or if an internal database is returning errors. But to do that job, Anodot requires incredibly deep integration.
Meaning they need access to everything.
Yes. It needs what we call read access across the entire database architecture. It has to be able to see the data to analyze it.
Okay, let me try a metaphor to see if I'm mapping this correctly for you, the listener. Imagine you build a state-of-the-art corporate fortress.
Okay.
You have 3-foot-thick steel doors, biometric scanners, armed guards. But, the windows still get dirty.
Right.
So you hire a commercial window washing company. And because they need to clean the glass from the inside, you give their crewmaster key cards that bypass all the security checkpoints.
Yes.
Shiny Hunters didn't try to blow up the steel doors. They just mugged the window washer, took the master key card, and walked right in.
The metaphor tracks perfectly.
Yeah.
And it highlights a massive structural flaw in the modern corporate ecosystem.
Which is?
A multinational company is truly only as secure as its weakest external vendor.
Wow. Yeah.
Rockstar can spend hundreds of millions of dollars on internal cybersecurity, zero trust architecture, employee training, all of it.
But the moment they integrate a third-party tool,
Exactly. The moment they integrate Anodot via an API to optimize their workflow, they are inheriting every single security flaw that vendor possesses.
that is terrifying.
It is. The hackers breached Anodot's security, compromised the access tokens Anodot uses to communicate with clients, and used those to scrape Rockstar's cloud environments. The biometric scanners at the front door never even registered a threat.
So they slip through the side door using stolen vendor credentials, and they start grabbing files. Now, if we move from the technical mechanics into what they actually extracted, the source reveals some staggering financial realities.
Oh, absolutely. A portion of this data has already leaked to the public.
Right, and it gives us an unfiltered look at the raw economics of the gaming industry.
What stands out immediately is that these files aren't just, lines of game code or unpolished character models.
No, it's spreadsheets.
Exactly. The data dump gave us a look at the exact spreadsheets Rockstar executives used to make their development decisions.
And here is the biggest revelation from those spreadsheets. For years, the PC gaming community has been incredibly vocal about the delayed release schedule for GTA 6.
Yeah, they've been very frustrated.
Everyone assumed the year-long gap between the console release and the eventual PC port was a purely technical hurdle, like optimizing a massive open world for thousands of different hardware configurations just takes time.
That was the accepted narrative.
Right. But the leaked weekly earnings data for Grand Theft Auto 5 tells a completely different, frankly brutal, story.
The numbers are definitive. Let's look in the breakdown.
Okay, according to the leak, on the PlayStation 5, Rockstar brings in roughly $4.5 million a week in microtransactions and game sales.
$4.5 million a week.
A week. And on the PlayStation 4, they're still generating almost $1 million a week.
Okay.
But on PC, the entire PC platform is generating a meager $264,000 a week.
The disparity is, it's almost difficult to process. You have $4.5 million on a current generation console versus $264,000 on PC.
It's nothing.
From a corporate revenue standpoint, the PC market for this specific game is basically a rounding error.
I am genuinely struggling to understand that gap. We constantly hear that the PC market is this massive, booming, highly lucrative sector of the industry.
Right.
So why is it underperforming so drastically for literally one of the most popular games on Earth?
Well, the leaked data points to two primary factors. The first is simply active weekly users. The engagement volume on PC for GTA 5 is just significantly lower than on consoles.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the second factor, and this is the underlying mechanism driving that low revenue, is piracy.
Piracy.
Yes. And we need to differentiate what piracy means in this context. It's not just people illegally downloading the base game. It's the ongoing live service economy.
You mean mod menus and currency spawning?
Exactly. Console environments are walled gardens. Sony and Microsoft control the architecture, making it incredibly difficult to inject unapproved code into a live multiplayer session.
But the PC environment is open architecture by design.
Exactly. Mod menus and scripting tools are rampant. If a player wants a new multi-million-dollar sports car in GTA Online, they're supposed to buy a shirt card with real-world money.
And on console, they generally do.
Right. But on PC, a significant portion of the player base just downloads the script and spawns the currency into their account for free.
Oh, wow. So when your active user base is smaller, and a massive chunk of that user base can simply circumvent your monetization model,
The weekly revenue completely collapses.
which perfectly explains the delay. If you're a Rockstar executive looking at those exact spreadsheets, why would you allocate your top engineers to rush a PC port for day one?
You wouldn't.
You are going to prioritize the platforms bringing in $5.5 million a week, and you'll get to the $200,000 platform when you have spare resources.
It is the brutal reality of resource allocation. The math dictates the development cycle.
And that ruthless math applies to their other franchises as well, right?
Oh, definitely.
Because a leak contained another massive financial bombshell regarding Red Dead Redemption Online.
The cowboy game.
Yeah, the community around that game is famously passionate, but they have felt completely abandoned by the developers for years, starved for meaningful updates. Well, the leaked data explains the silence.
So the numbers.
Red Dead Redemption Online generates roughly $26 million in an entire year.
26 million annually. Okay, hold that figure in your head.
Right.
Now compare it to the live service juggernaut that is GTA Online.
It's crazy. A GTA Online makes that same $26 million in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Annually, GTA Online is pulling in $500 million, $500 million a year.
So the comparison isn't even close.
It isn't. But I have to push back on the business logic here. I mean, let me ask you, the listener, when you look at a $26 million annual return versus a $500 million annual return, can you really blame a company for abandoning the Cowboys to focus on the sports cars?
A lot of players do blame them, though.
Right. Because doesn't completely abandoning a dedicated player base burn the long-term consumer goodwill that a company relies on?
You would think so.
You build a loyal fan base, you string them along with the promise of a live service world, and then you just drop them because your other game makes more money. Doesn't that train your audience not to trust your future releases?
From a community management perspective, you are absolutely right. It causes long-term brand damage.
Right.
But from a purely corporate fiduciary perspective, taking a team of developers off a project, generating $500 million a year to create content for a project generating $26 million,
Yeah.
it's almost negligent to your shareholders.
I mean, when you put it like that,
The executives are beholden to the highest return on investment. And what makes this hack so dangerous is that Shiny Hunters didn't just steal the code. They stole the context.
the internal logic.
Yes, they stole the internal logic that proves exactly how these companies operate behind closed doors.
So if the PC revenue data and the Red Dead Online abandonment are just like accidental discoveries buried in this data dump, what was Shiny Hunters actually looking for when they broke in?
That is the million-dollar question.
What is the core leverage they hold over Rockstar?
They bypass the game mechanics and the source code entirely. According to the source material, the hackers specifically targeted corporate contracts, financial forecasting documents, and critically, the master marketing plans for Rockstar's upcoming slate.
Okay, I understand that a marketing PDF might have some sensitive dates, but I don't get the magnitude of the threat.
You have to look at the scale.
If they have a terabyte of internal data, why not just threaten to leak the actual game code again? Why is the marketing plan considered the crown jewel of this breach?
Because a modern game launch is essentially an intricately constructed mile-long chain of dominoes.
Okay.
Marketing in the entertainment industry isn't just cutting a trailer, it is total narrative control. A launch campaign for a product like GTA 6 is a billion-dollar apparatus.
Wow.
It involves signing massive non-disclosure agreements with console manufacturers like Sony and Microsoft. It involves pre-booking physical ad space in Times Square, digital ad space across global networks, all for very specific, synchronized dates.
I see the domino effect now.
Right.
The source explicitly mentioned that this leak could reveal whether GTA 6 is going to launch on unannounced hardware, like the rumored Nintendo Switch, too.
Exactly. Think about the implications of that single data point.
It's massive.
If Rockstar's marketing timeline reveals that GTA 6 will launch on the Switch 2 in October, they haven't just leaked their own plans, they've leaked Nintendo's hardware release window.
Oh, wow. That is a massive breach of trust and potentially a breach of contract with another mega corporation.
And not to mention the competitive advantage.
Right. If the exact launch window becomes public knowledge, competitors can counter-program.
Exactly. If Ubisoft or EA knows the exact week GTA 6 is going to dominate the cultural conversation, they will move their own releases entirely out of the blast radius.
So Rockstar loses the element of surprise. They lose the ability to dictate the news cycle on their own terms.
If the hacker tips the first domino 2 months early, the entire chain collapses before the cameras are even rolling.
And you can see the internal panic reflecting this reality. Publicly, the corporations involved are projecting this highly sanitized front.
Of course they are.
Take-Two Interactive, Rockstar's parent company, released an update confirming the hack. However, they framed it by claiming the hackers only accessed limited non-critical information and that players shouldn't expect any disruptions.
Limited non-critical information. The classic corporate PR line.
Right. It's crisis communication at its most transparent. But the actions behind closed doors paint a vastly different picture.
What's happening internally?
Well, the source cites a report from industry insider Reese Riley, who revealed that Take-Two Interactive CEO Strauss Zelnick might be stepping in personally to discuss restructuring the entire marketing timeline with Rockstar.
Okay, if the CEO of the parent company is stepping in to manually rewrite the calendar.
The information is definitively not non-critical.
Precisely. They are scrambling to rearrange the dominoes before Shiny Hunters can knock them over.
Which brings us to the April 14th deadline. We have a true digital standoff here. Corporate PR is publicly telling investors and fans to remain calm, while the CEO is allegedly in the war room rewriting the playbook.
It's pure game theory at this point.
Right. How does a hostage situation like this actually resolve? The source outlined a few potential paths forward.
Yeah, the Counter-Strike strategies are fairly limited. Option 1 is the worst-case scenario for the studio. The deadline passes, Rockstar refuses to pay the ransom, and the hackers drop the massive file onto public forums.
The marketing narrative is destroyed, the vendor contracts are exposed, and absolute chaos ensues.
Yes.
Option 2 seems just as futile, honestly. The hackers leak the files, and Rockstar's legal and IT teams spend the next 6 months playing an endless, exhausting game of whack-a-mole.
Issuing copyright strikes, sending cease and desist letters.
Right, trying to scrub the files from file-sharing sites, but the internet is written in ink. Once a 1 terabyte file is seeded via torrents, you can never put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Someone, somewhere will always archive it.
Which leaves option 3, the offensive maneuver.
Right. Rockstar goes on the attack and neutralizes the threat by releasing the information themselves.
They undercut the hackers' leverage entirely by dropping the announcements on their own terms before the deadline hits.
And this offensive strategy is the foundation of a massive viral theory currently sweeping the community.
Let's talk about that, because the source points out that Rockstar actually has a proven history of utilizing this exact tactic.
They do. When early leaks threatened their past reveals, they didn't wait for the lawyers to issue takedowns. They just hit the publish button and dropped their official trailers early to steal the thunder back.
And because of that historical precedent, the community is convinced that Trailer 3 for GTA 6 might be released abruptly.
Strategically, it is the most logical move on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If Shiny Hunters is holding the contents of Trailer 3 and the associated release dates hostage for an April 14th payout,
The smartest thing Rockstar can do is hit publish on April 13th.
by releasing the trailer officially, the stolen data immediately becomes obsolete. The hacker's leverage evaporates.
And all the internet traffic, the hype, and the cultural conversation are redirected back to Rockstar's official channels.
It is a brilliant counterpunch.
It really is. But what about the underlying product? Because I think the biggest anxiety for any fan listening to this deep dive right now is that this chaotic corporate warfare is going to push the actual release date back. With the CEO rewriting timelines and marketing plans being torn up, are we looking at a fundamental delay to the game itself?
Based on the insider reports highlighted in the source, the community can breathe a sigh of relief on that front.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the probability of the actual game suffering a delay due to this specific breach is exceptionally low,
Why is that?
because the development pipeline and the marketing pipeline are parallel, but they are separate entities. The core mechanics of the game, the voice acting, the physics engine, the coding, that's moving forward uninterrupted.
That makes total sense.
The only aspect of the project facing a delay or a restructure is the promotional strategy. The timeline of when and how we see the promotional materials might shift wildly, but the ultimate launch window appears secure.
Well, that is a massive relief for anyone waiting on this release. Let's rapidly synthesize the mechanics of what we've uncovered today. A highly sophisticated hacking syndicate bypasses the hardened security of the biggest game studio on Earth, not by breaking down the front door, but by exploiting the API access of a third-party cloud analytics tool.
The window washers.
The window washers, exactly. They extract a terabyte of data, ignoring the game code entirely to capture the true corporate crown jewels, financial forecasting, and the master marketing plan.
And in the process of holding those documents hostage, they inadvertently expose the ruthless mathematical realities of the modern gaming market.
We get hard empirical data proving exactly why PC ports are deprioritized. It's a lethal combination of open architecture piracy and low engagement compared to the massive, secure revenue streams of console platforms.
We see the fiduciary duty that forces a studio to abandon a wildly popular title like Red Dead Online simply because it only generates $26 million a year, while its counterpart generates $500 million.
It always comes down to resource allocation. And now, Rockstar finds itself in a high-stakes standoff, potentially being forced to execute an early release of Trailer 3 just to sabotage the hackers' leverage. It is an absolute masterclass in modern corporate vulnerability.
It's wild to watch it unfold in real time.
It really is, but I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought to mull over, something that builds entirely on the factual financial data we just unpacked.
Okay, let's hear it.
If the leaked numbers are true, and PC gaming is only bringing in $264,000 a week for an industry juggernaut, while consoles are generating millions, does this data inadvertently prove that the PC gaming community is pricing itself out of day one releases altogether?
Oh, wow. That's a heavy question.
If open architecture modding and piracy consistently obliterate live service revenue, could this leak be the definitive evidence that proves PC ports for massive blockbusters will eventually become entirely obsolete? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the information around you, look for the invisible backdoors in the systems you rely on, and we will catch you next time.